Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, That Aussie Mum. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Suze, and for those who do know me, welcome back to the channel where everything is random and you never know what you're gonna get. If you like that kind of thing, give this video a quick thumbs up and click that red subscribe button down below so that you don't miss out on any more notifications on the randomness that comes up on this video. Today's video is a book haul. So if you watched my last video, and if you didn't, I will link it in the cards above, you will know that I just turned 40. I have been 40 for exactly a week at the filming of this video, and it has not been as awful as I thought it would be. In fact, it has been quite fabulous, and I'm hoping that this trend continues for the rest of my 40s. Part of my 40th birthday was some gift cards that I received, and I decided to spend those gift cards at QBD bookstores because why not buy books? For those who don't know, and you probably actually all don't know, I'm a big reader. I love reading, but I go through phases where I'll go months without reading. I don't feel inspired to read, or I'm too busy, or I just feel like doing something else. As I mentioned in the last video, I get bored easily, so I go through phases of months of no reading, and then I'll go through a phase of I cannot put books down. I'll be reading books while I cook dinner. My latest thing is ebooks or audiobooks that I've started listening to because I want to be listening to them while I'm driving or while I'm cooking or while I'm doing whatever, and you can't always do that with a book in your hand, and it drives my family insane because that's all I want to do is read. So for my 40th birthday, I did a massive splurge on books, and I am going to share that book haul with you today. Please bear in mind, I am now 40. I do work and I earn my own money, and therefore I can afford to buy these books. I was not given any of these books. I am not sponsored by anybody or anything. This is just something that I really enjoy. And a lot of these books I'll be able to pass on to my kids to read. They're already reading some of the books in this stash already before I get to them, and I have vetted them and I have said that they could read them. So just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. But without further ado, let's jump right on in to this enormous 40th birthday book haul. Just in case you're wondering, the background noise, yes, I live on acreage and the neighbours like to mow every day, and I can't film a video without there being mower noise in the background, and it is what it is, so please ignore, and let's focus on the books. The first series of books that I purchased, it is a series, and I believe it is a YA series, and honestly I really purchased them because I really like the covers. I know that's really bad, and I hope I end up liking it and not DNFing them. But the first book series that I bought is a book series by Scott Westerfield, and the first book in the series is called Imposters. How cool is the cover? You should, the covers on all of these are fascinating. This is the second book. It is called Shatter City, and the third book, which annoyingly is a different size to the first two. I hate when they do that. This one is called Mirror's Edge, and these all follow this girl named Frey and her twin sister. So I didn't really look at the synopsis of these before I bought them. I did of the first one, but not of the other two. But I'll just read it to you because that's just easier, because I haven't actually started this one. So, twins, liars, rebels. Frey is the body double of her twin sister Raffia, the precious first daughter of Shreve, and her existence is a closely guarded secret. So while Raffi was schooled to be the perfect heir, Frey was trained to be the ultimate weapon, her purpose to protect her sister. When their father sent Frey in Raffi's place as collateral in a precarious deal, she must become the perfect imposter. But Cole Palafax, the sign of a rival leader, is getting close enough to spot the killer inside her. As the stakes grow higher, Frey must decide, can she trust Cole with the truth? In a life built out of lies, can she trust anyone? So I thought that was interesting. It's got a bit of political intrigue in it. I'm pretty sure it is YA. I believe the sisters are in the beginning of the book, maybe 15 or 16 years old, I'm pretty sure. They're both two very different characters. They're almost the opposite of each other, which I really like. And I haven't read a lot of books where it's the twin sisters kind of deal, and I was really interested in that. And I love stuff to do with, you know, secrets, treachery, rebellion, subterfuge, suspicion, you know, all the sneaky things. I love all that. So that is why I bought this series, Imposter, Shatter City, and Mirror's Edge. Plus the covers are pretty interesting and weird. And usually in my books, that is a good thing. So this is a standalone book. I believe it's a standalone book. I originally bought this for my youngest daughter, Angie, but I think I'd be quite interested in it as well. She is reading it first. I've said she could read it, so don't shoot me. But Alexandra Bracken is one of my favorite authors. She wrote the Darkest Minds series, which I really, really enjoyed. And this book is called Law. And again, the cover is what really got me interested in this one. It's got Medusa on the front, basically. So I know that it's going to be something to do with mythology, and I love mythology, and my girls love mythology. They grew up on Percy Jackson, so mythology is a big thing for us. We really, really enjoy it. Again, I haven't read this one. Angie picked this one out, and I think it sounds fascinating. So it says, in modern day New York, a murderous game is about to begin, the Aegon. Every 7 years, for 1 week only, Zeus punishes the gods and makes them mortal. Forced to walk the earth, they are savagely hunted by the descendants of ancient bloodlines who are eager to kill a god and seize their divine power and immortality. After her family was brutally murdered by a rival line, Law Perseus fled, turning her back on the Aegon's cruel promises of eternal glory. For years, Law has honored her parents' memory by doing one thing: surviving. For years, she has pushed away dark thoughts of revenge until now. As the next game dawns, Law finds Athena gravely wounded on her doorstep. The goddess offers her an alliance against their mutual enemy and a way to leave the Aegon behind forever. But Law's decision to rejoin the hunt will come at a deadly cost, and may not be enough to stop the rise of a new god with the power to destroy all of humanity. That sounds awesome. Again, I'm pretty sure this is a YA, but I don't mind a bit of YA, I don't mind a bit of everything, so we're going to have a go with this one, and I'll let you know how I go with that. The next book is also a standalone, and this one is by Cari Thomas. It's called Thread Needle, and this one, as you can see, I've started reading it a little bit, so I kind of get the gist of the story. It follows a girl named Anna who's been brought up by her aunt, and they are witches, so to speak, but her aunt is a special kind of witch called a binder, and what binders do is they bind their magic, so they cannot use their magic and get caught, basically. So the binders are really worried about their power being shown to the world, and they don't want to get caught. But then Anna's eyes are opened up by some people that she meets who are also witches, but don't go by the binder philosophy, so to speak. And so it follows this journey of Anna as she goes to school in London with these witches who are not wanting to be binders, and she discovers that maybe her aunt's not been telling her the truth the whole time. So this one is a bit of an interesting one. I'm not usually a huge fan of witch stories, and when I picked it up, I didn't actually realize exactly what it was about, but I have started it, and it is interesting, and it's definitely a young adult novel. I am finding it's a little bit tropey already. I don't want to give too much away, but it's got that teenage girl angst when she goes to school, and the typical bullies and the typical things that the bullies are going to do. And so far that's been rather tropey, and it's not a trope that I as a 40-year-old generally enjoy, but I would assume that for a young adult this one would be pretty good. I will keep reading it. Hopefully I don't DNF it, because I really want to like this book. Not sure I'll let my kids read it just because of the witch aspect, but I'll see how I go with it. But that is Threadneedle by Cari Thomas. But I mean, other than that, look how gorgeous that cover is. And covers get me every time, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the books are good. But I really love a good book cover. So I'm torn. Alright, the next book I got is also a standalone, and it is a book by Eoin Colfer. Pretty sure that's how you say it. It's spelt weird. Eoin Colfer wrote Artemis Fowl, which is for your more middle grade, and this is his first adult fantasy book. And for a fantasy book, it's not particularly large. It is large print. It's not a very long book. It's not even 400 pages, but that is called High Fire. Now, as you can see, I've started reading it again, and yes, I am using a $5 note as a bookmark because you know what? It's still cheaper than a bookmark in most cases. I use whatever I can find for bookmarks. So this one is called High Fire by Eoin Colfer, and it is his first adult fantasy after he wrote Artemis Fowl. Now, I haven't read much of the Artemis Fowl books because it came out way after I was reading middle grade. But this story follows a young Cajun boy named Squib Moreau, and he lives in Louisiana, and he's into all sorts of nonsense, but he's trying to make a better life for his mother Elodie so they can move away from where they live in Louisiana and try and escape the local constable, Regent's Hook. Now, Regent's Hook is, he's a dirty cop, basically, and not a very nice person. And basically things go down, from what I can tell, and Squib ends up finding out that there is a dragon living in the swamp. So Vern is the dragon in question. He is supposedly the last dragon in the world, and he's hiding out in the swamp, and he doesn't want to be found out. So this whole story has got dragons, and this dragon loves to watch Netflix, and it loves to drink vodka. It is quite violent from what I've seen so far. It's quite violent, definitely adult fantasy. There's a lot of swearing in this one, and I'm not a huge fan of swearing in books. I personally think maybe the odd swear word every now and again can be used to good effect, but I really don't think the amount of swearing that I've seen so far in this one is necessary. Just because it's adult fantasy doesn't mean it needs to be full of swearing. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, it's not a very big fantasy. It is a standalone. It sounds interesting. It is pretty funny, although some of it's a little bit cliched. I don't know, we'll see how I go with this one, but that is High Fire by Eoin Colfer. Alright, the next book is the first one in a much beloved series that I have watched on Netflix, and I regret watching it on Netflix before reading the book. Really, really regret. But I really enjoyed it on Netflix, and that is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Now, this is the first one in the series. I haven't bothered buying the other ones yet, and I'm not actually reading this one at the moment. Natalie's reading this one, and when she's finished, I'll get into it. But I really enjoyed the Netflix series of Shadow and Bone, and I'm really, really looking forward to the next season coming out, and it's going to be too long, and I can't wait. So I thought I would scratch that itch by reading Shadow and Bone. For those of you who don't know what Shadow and Bone is, where have you been? Have you been hiding under a rock? But it follows this girl, Alina Starkov, who is a soldier. She's actually a cartographer, which is a map maker. And her regiment is attacked while crossing the Shadow Fold, a swath of unnatural darkness crawling with monsters. And Alina unleashes this dormant power that's within her that she never ever knew that she had, and she never wanted to have. But now that she's released this power, she's then swept up into this whole glamorous world of the Grisha. And the Grisha have these powers, and a lot of people don't like that they have these powers. There's a lot of resistance against it, and there's a whole bunch of mystery and intrigue, and a nice little plot twist in there, which you kind of see coming, but it's a nice little plot twist. So that one is a really fun one. If you don't like reading, go and watch the series. I really enjoyed it, but I do want to read it because I always think the book is better, usually. So that's that one. Alright, the next one I got is a Garth Nix book. Now, I've never read Garth Nix before. I've heard many things about Garth Nix. never really been interested in high fantasy and epic fantasy and all that before the last couple of months. But I saw this is a hardcover version, and look how gorgeous that cover is. I think that's stunning. And then that is the spine, and it is Sabriel. And this is the 25th anniversary edition of this book. It is a hardcover. I don't normally buy hardcovers. They're hard to get for some reason. Here in Australia, most of your bookstores, they're all paperback. And personally, I think paperback is easier to hold when you're reading. I don't know. We'll see how I go. I don't know what this is about. I've never read it, but I like the cover. As usual, caught out by the cover. And I have heard of Garth Nix. I have heard he's pretty good. And the bookstore attendant said it was a good choice. So, let's read what it says. Enter the Old Kingdom, a world of dark, secrets and dangerous magic. For many years, Sabriel has lived outside the walls of the Old Kingdom, away from the random power of free magic, and away from the dead who won't stay dead. That in itself sounds cool. But now her father, the Mage Aborson, is missing, and to find him, Sabriel must cross back into that treacherous world and face the power of her own extraordinary destiny. I think that sounds cool. I like the cover. Okay, the next one that I bought is by a very famous high fantasy author, modern fantasy. I don't even know. I guess it's modern fantasy author, and that is by Brandon Sanderson. Yes, I know, I've only discovered Brandon Sanderson recently when I started reading the Stormlight Archives, which I've only read the first part of The Way of Kings. There's 2 parts and they're both like this thick. And I need to go back and reread those before I get back into Stormlight Archives. But I heard that Warbreaker is a really good place to start when we're talking about modern fantasy. So I picked up Warbreaker by by Brandon Sanderson. I thought I'd give that a go. So I don't know the full synopsis. Again, I'm going to read it off the back because I haven't read this book. And I believe it's a standalone within the Cosmere. I'm learning all these words too. So let me just read it. Warbreaker is the story of 2 sisters who happen to be princesses. The god king one of them has to marry, a lesser god, and an immortal trying to undo the mistakes he made hundreds of years ago. Theirs is a world in which those who die in glory return as gods, a world transformed by biochromatic magic, a power based on an essence known as breath, which can only be collected 1 unit at a time from individual people. But it's worth it. By using breath and drawing upon the colour and everyday objects, all manner of miracles and mischief can be performed. Now that magic system sounds interesting, and I have heard that Brandon Sanderson has a particular way with magic systems, and this is a magic system I've never heard of before, so I thought that was quite fascinating. So I'm going to give that one a go. That is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Now, the other thing that I have been doing is listening to ebooks, or listening to audiobooks, and I thought that one of the best places to start was going to be a Brandon Sanderson, and I'm going to I don't have it here obviously because it is an audiobook, but I was told that Mistborn series was a brilliant place to start for Brandon Sanderson. So I am currently listening to the audiobook of The Final Empire, which is the first book in the Mistborn series. There's a number of books, he keeps producing more, and it follows a few different characters, but mostly follows this girl Vin, who finds out that she is actually a Mistborn and can actually use metal magic of all the different kinds. So again, the magic system is very different. I found it rather complicated, but now I'm getting the hang of it. And it's the first audiobook I've ever listened to. So at first I was like, I don't know if I can do this. It's just, I keep missing things, and you can't go back and reread it. You've got to go back and re-listen to it. And that took me a little while to get used to. I'm really enjoying it now. I have been listening in the car, when I go to bed, when I'm doing whatever, I've been listening to it. But I think I'm going to have to actually read the books as well, because I feel like I'm missing things with the audiobook. I don't know, do you listen to audiobooks? Is that something that you find that you miss things? Do you then go and read the actual book as well? I don't know. We'll see how we go. I'm enjoying it now, but I think I will need to read the actual physical book as well. All right, the next lot of books that I picked up is by a very well-known author, and that is, I'm just trying to get the stickers off. I hate when they do this. They put these stickers on the front cover and I can't ever get them off, and they leave disgusting marks all over the books, and I don't really like that. I can't get them off. But that is by Kristoff, and that is the Nevernight series. So I love the covers, and I managed to get the first 2 in the series. They were 2 for $22, which you can't miss that bargain. But I only got the first 2 because the third one wasn't part of the deal, and I'd already spent a ton of money. So the first book is Nevernight, and it follows the story of a girl named Mia, who at 10 is given her first lesson in death, and she ends up, I'm pretty sure she ends up in a school for assassins, where she learns all the skills that she's going to need to take her revenge on the people who made her an orphan. So it is, I don't know, I think Kristoff can be quite gory, I believe, and I don't mind that. That's not a big problem. But I think these are going to be really, really interesting. So I got Nevernight and I got Godsgrave, which is also follows Mia, obviously, after, you know, she becomes an assassin, I suppose. The next series I picked up, I already had the first book in the series, and I didn't quite finish it, but I really, really enjoyed it, so I decided to pick up the other 2. This is the first book in the series, and unfortunately, because it's been sitting in a bookshelf, some of the silver has rubbed off the cover, but that is Aurora Rising by Amie Kaufmann and Kristoff. I really like the pairing of these 2 authors. They've written a few things together, and I've always enjoyed what they've written. So, and look at that cover. Stunning. And so this is set in the future. It's more sci-fi, set in 2380, and it follows a couple of different people. I can't remember the story. It's been so long since I've read it, so I actually do need to reread this one, but I remember it being fascinating. So I already had this one, and so I went ahead and I purchased Aurora Burning, which is the second one in the series. And I purchased Aurora's End, which is the third one in the series. And I mean, come on, the cover art on these is incredible. I can't get over how pretty they are. So I got those 3, which my TBR list is set for the next 3 months, because I mean, I can read fast, but when I have to work, not fast enough, I would say. Thankfully, these are all the same size, because some of these series, the books are not the same size. And why? Why aren't they the same size? It's ridiculous. The last series, I know, I'm getting there, I promise. This is such a long video. I can't even begin to explain. Anyway, the last series, and I've been saving this one for last because I loved the first book. So I bought this series, I bought the first one. I got halfway through the first book and I went and bought the other 2. And that is a series by James Islington. I'm assuming it's Islington and not Islington. James Islington is an Australian author who lives in Adelaide, South Australia, I believe. And this is his first foray into fantasy, into, you know, adult fantasy. And this follows the point of view of about 4 different characters, but he does it seamlessly and really, really, really well. And it's called The Shadow of What Was Lost is the first one. The actual series is the Licanius Trilogy. And seeing the character arc of some of these characters, they just almost come full circle, and it's fascinating. And the magic system in this is fascinating, and the bad guy in this is so mysterious. And you get to the end of this one, and the plot twist in the end of this one, oh my goodness. I'm not going to give it away, but needless to say, I had to go out and buy the second and third books. So the second book is called The Echo of Things to Come, and the third book is called The Light of All That Falls. Now, yes, again, the third book is bigger than the other two, and I could have got one the same size as this, but this one was about $15 cheaper, and I'm all about being cheap sometimes. Honestly, if you want a nice, easy beginning into reading high fantasy or adult fantasy or whatever you want to call it, this series is just mind-blowingly amazing. Like, I haven't been big into fantasy my whole life, but honestly, I am now hooked, and all I can think about is where my next fantasy book is going to come from, and that sounds so nerdy, and I really don't care. So if you really want to get into fantasy but you're a little bit scared, because I mean, look how big these are, seriously, pick this book up, give it a go. It is a little bit slow in the beginning, but then it picks up, and it's just keeps you reading. You just want to keep reading, and I absolutely highly recommend James Islington. He's a really good author. His writing is beautiful, and I can't speak highly enough of this series. Alright guys, and that is it for my book haul. Like I said, there were a lot of books in that book haul, and all different things, but mostly fantasy, and I love them, and I can't wait to get reading all of them. It's nearly summer holidays for me, which means I can spend a ton of time lying by the pool reading books, which sounds like the perfect holiday for me. So if you enjoyed that video, go ahead, give this video a thumbs up, click that red subscribe button down below. Tell me what your favorite author is. Tell me what your favorite genre of book is. Tell me what your favorite series is. I'd love to know your thoughts and comments. If there is anything you want me to cover in future videos, then please write it down in the comments down below. I guess that's it. It was long enough, wasn't it? So I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.